What's up, everybody? Welcome to another World Football Show. Not just a stream, but a show with Bleacher Report. I'm Adrian. I go by Rabona TV over on YouTube. So thank you for joining me. What a lovely week of football it was. We had the Champions League, PSG versus Barcelona, two of the top teams in Europe facing off. Defending champions take it. Bit of controversy regarding one guy not getting sent off, but that's for another video, another stream, another time. Galatasaray defeating Liverpool. It was a great week. Then in the Europa League, I don't know if you guys saw this, but just quickly before we get into all the topics, Lille versus Roma. Lille keeper Berk Ozer saves the first penalty. They retake it. He saves that retaken penalty. They retake it again. Dude saves the third penalty as well. Just insane. Lille end up beating Roma. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So we're coming into it with a good energy, good football energy today. So now on today's show, I know it's not the international break yet. Well, it's going to be next week. So we're going to get ready for it now. Let's rip the Band-Aid. I know it's a difficult time for all of us, but today we'll be talking about some way too early World Cup rankings from 10 to 1, who I think the main contenders are, who I think the guys are that you got to beat in order to lift up that Jules Rimet trophy. Plus, we'll talk about the U.S. men's national team. Got a new roster drop today. A little bit of Mexico, a little bit of Canada, a little bit of everything World Cup related, because things are happening right now with the World Cup, aren't they? We got the ball reveal. We got ticket prices reveal, which are going to be expensive, but who expected anything else, right? So yes, let's get started. Let's talk some host nations here. How will they fare? I mean, I won't get to my top 10 yet. You'll have to see if they make it into the top 10. They will have home field advantage, which may help them, that's for sure. But there are a lot of strong teams that aren't even in the top 10 contenders, right? So let's talk about the USA, because the worry before was, what is Mauricio Pochettino doing with these squads, man? You know, he said that September was his final test, where he was going to leave out some of these European players, well, the guys that play over in Europe, I should say, and was calling up all these MLS guys that a lot of people were sort of confused about their inclusions. He said that September was that final test, and I think for the most part, people are pretty happy with the squad that he called up for this October window. For me, he called up most of the people you would expect to see in the U.S. men's national team. I think he gives a good picture of what he will be taking or bringing along to the World Cup in the United States, right? The European population, guys like, McKennie, Robinson, Carter Vickers, Tessman, Tillman, all these guys, they're all the mins are all back, but you also have a lot of the, other guys that Pochettino had been calling up that absolutely deserve to be there, such as a Diego Luna, Zendejas, who has been playing unbelievably well at Club America in Mexico these days. The one guy who is missing that is maybe a bit contentious, a bit confusing, has got to be Joe Scally. Very good Bundesliga defender, has 2 assists in 4 matches, playing as a right back. And yet, once again, Pochettino isn't calling him up. I think that's the one that people are maybe scratching their heads at a little bit. But other than that, it's a really good squad. I think most people are very, very happy with it. And if this is to be the squad for the USA at the upcoming World Cup, this is the kind of group that I could see getting to, round of 16 once you factor in the home crowd. And you got to remember, with the additional teams at this World Cup, there is a round of 32 and then a round of 16. There's an additional round to be played. So maybe that's being generous to them, given the various records, or their record against teams in the top 30 not being great. But I think Poch has figured something out with the formation, making it into that back three as he did against South Korea and then against Japan, as we saw. They looked a lot better. They looked way more stable in defense. They looked better in the attack as well. Balogun has to be the guy, I think. So yeah, we'll see. I think that this could be a decent team. I think that we could see the U.S. make it as far as the round of 16. Now, Mexico, we're going to jump to the bottom of the list, going out of order here, but Mexico, after what felt like they were slumping for a really long time, Mexico really showed up in this Gold Cup this past summer, didn't they? For a while, my country, Canada, was actually sort of overtaking Mexico in CONCACAF, right? Canada was looking really good in that 2022 World Cup qualifying cycle. Mexico not looking great. They were really battling with the US and often losing, right? So since then, They played against Japan and South Korea since that Gold Cup where Raul Jimenez came back. Thankfully, he is back after that head injury, but he came back, led them to glory. They played against Japan and South Korea, the same teams that the US played against. And by the way, they played against the real Japan. All of their starters were out there, and they went toe to toe in a draw. But back in the Gold Cup, while the scoreline was close in the final, Mexico absolutely dominated the US in that final. It was pretty pitiful, according to most pundits in the US, most US men's national team pundits. So I think Mexico come into this World Cup in a really good place with Javier Aguirre, taking them away from the relatively dark ages of that 2022 qualifying cycle and the 2010s. So how far can they get? That curse of El Quinto Partido, the fifth game, is pretty strong. I think they have a good 4 games in them. From there, look, I'm not one to mess with curses. I'm not gonna go against it. They seem to stand very strong. My team, Benfica, has been cursed for ages from Belo Gutmann since the 60s, and we still can't beat that curse. So El Quinto Partido, I don't want to mess with that. I think that they have 4 games in them. Also, Gilberto Mora, I'm interested to see if he'll make that World Cup squad. Looks really good in the Gold Cup. And finally, we have Canada. Now, Canada is no doubt at their strongest moment. You had Jonathan Herdman sort of with that Canada renaissance, which saw them qualify for the 2022 World Cup for the first time since the 80s that they made a World Cup. Now you have an American coach, Jesse Marsh, who has taken the baton and run with it with Canada. He changed their style of play. It's far more aggressive, that sort of leave it all out on the field, press the hell of your opponents kind of style, move the ball up the pitch very, very quickly, utilize your talented attackers like a Jonathan David, a Tejon Buchanan, a Promise David as well. All these guys, Alfonso Davies. I feel like I haven't seen him in ages since he blew his ACL, unfortunately, but he should be coming back relatively soon. And with all of this, Marsh was able to take Canada all the way to the semifinals of the Copa America, where they lost to eventual winners, Argentina, of course. Nothing to really feel that ashamed of, right? But nothing to really hang your hat on either. They will be disappointed with how the Gold Cup went, losing in a shootout the way that they did. But since then, the friendlies have gone well. A win over Romania, 3-0 in Romania, a 1-0 win over Wales. So pretty impressive by Canada standards. Because all of this, playing at home, being at an unprecedented 26th in the world, the highest they've ever been, I think Marsh will be able to sort of translate this pressure into getting them to play with passion. They certainly have exceptional strikers, as I mentioned, in the two Davids, but I think making it past the round of 32 will be a tough ask for Canada. So that's where I have them. Now, as far as the rest of the field, as far as the top contenders, sort of the top 10, if you will, I think we're going to get into that now because a lot of these teams, it's hard to choose between them. And coming in at number 10, I have the guys who have failed to make the World Cup for a while. I have Italy, and they have a lot to prove. A very talented nation, one that is capable of winning. Certainly, I mean, they won the Euros not long ago. 4 years ago, they won the Euros. But a team that has failed to reach the previous 2 World Cups. Italy's extremely strong across the park. I mean, they have great informed strikers like Moise Kean, who's doing well at Fiorentina. Retegui, who left Atalanta to go play in Saudi Arabia, but still an excellent player. They're solid in the midfield, with Barella and Tonali. And just to sort of just to show you, did not qualify for 2022, just to sort of put a little exclamation point on it all. Did not qualify in 2022, so obviously 0 goals to speak of. Did not qualify in 2018 either, as you'll remember, Sweden getting there instead of them. So Italy have a lot to prove. They're sort of playing for revenge. They have also, talking about the strong areas of the pitch, obviously their defense, Bastoni, etc. In goal, Donnarumma, a match winner. I think they're a little weak on the wings. I think that's the one area. But Gattuso as the coach is definitely a different direction from Spalletti, but maybe his mentality is what's needed at the international level because club and international coaching is different. Sometimes you just need a manager who will get the team fired up and wanting to perform. Give them sort of a loose structure, get them fired up, and they will fly. Sometimes club managers, they come in, they try to really put their imprint on the team, give all the complex ideas of how they want to play, patterns of play, etc. And it just doesn't work because they have 7 to 9 days with them every month. That's it. So it's just too difficult. So maybe this with Gattuso is what they kind of need, sort of like how Conte was pretty good with Italy as well. So Let's move on to number nine. I have Germany because speaking of coaching at the club level and not getting things 100% right at the international level, Germany in ninth. And I have them in ninth because there are some concerns about Julian Nagelsmann's job lately. Germany lost to Slovakia, which followed up a pretty poor Nations League campaign. They will make it into the World Cup. I don't think there's any doubt there. That shouldn't be a question, as it looks like a low point for Nagelsmann. He had Germany playing very well at the Euros in 2024. Um, they were the host nation, of course, still had Cruz, but there's so much talent in this team that you really cannot count Germany out ever. In 22, they finished in the group stage. Two disastrous World Cups in a row. 2018 wasn't that much better for them, was it? So Germany really have something to prove. Similarly to Italy, they certainly have something to prove at this World Cup. Now, with Musiala returning in the second half of this season, hopefully, German fans will be hoping that he'll be back to his best because that combination of him and and Wirtz is excellent. He's had a few injuries of late, that one being pretty brutal from the Club World Cup, breaking his leg. But Germany in a tournament like this, with this sort of younger generation that they have, you can never sleep on them. They can underperform, as we can see from this group stage exit, but they can absolutely batter their opponents as well. So Germany, definitely a team that you got to watch out for. Now, coming in at number eight, I have another team that you got to watch out for, can never sleep on, and that is Croatia, the embodiment of that sentiment. This is a team that is consistently showing up over and over and over again. Tiny nation, but these huge achievements in this sport. A huge part of that is sort of the beating heart of this team, Luka Modric, who is showing at AC Milan now at 40 years old that he's one of the top athletes in the league. I mean, the guy doesn't stop running ever. And you combine that sort of endurance, stamina with his ability, which is just otherworldly. This is a Ballon d'Or winner, right? Best player in the world back in 2018 that he won it. He's just an unbelievable athlete that will definitely have a great, great, great legacy once he eventually retires. But his legacy with Croatia, I mean, unbelievable. They have the talented players to boot around him. They made it to the final in 2018, losing to France. They made the semifinals in 2022 and then finished in third place in that tournament as well. Really not great at Euro 2024. But they bounced back in the Nations League. They took France all the way into a shootout. Perfect 4 from 4 matches in qualifying right now. So beyond Modric, there's Ivanovic, the striker who plays at Benfica, who just moved there. You have Sucic alongside Modric in the midfield. Just got a big move to Inter Milan. Livakovic in goal. A very strong back line. Perisic is never going, similarly to Luka Modric, is never going to retire. The guy's 37 at the moment, and he's still playing in the Champions League with PSV and doing very well. So Croatia can beat anyone on their day, as they have proven time and time again. And I think that they're definitely a team you need to watch out for at this World Cup as well, because I mean, at the 2022 World Cup, I started to sleep on Croatia and they continue to prove me wrong again and again and again. They find a way. Now, one of the teams they beat actually is in at number seven, Brazil. Weird couple of years for Brazil. It's been a weird couple of years. Really bad at Copa America 2024, and then their 2026 World Cup qualifying got off to a really bad start under Dorival Jr., but now they have Carlo Ancelotti, legendary coach, at the helm, and while he hasn't been able to fix everything just yet for Brazil, he is the master of vibes. There is no other coach in the world that immediately has the trust and admiration of his squad more so than Carlo Ancelotti. I mean, you'll remember all of the open top bus parades where he's up on top with all the Brazilian guys smoking a cigar and everything. He's just, like I said, the master of vibes. He gets along with his squad, and his man management is incredible. It's top notch. And when we talk about, well, first of all, look at the 2022 finish. I believe, if I'm not misremembering, that they got eliminated by Croatia. I believe, or was it Japan? Uh-oh, I'm having no, it's Croatia. It's Croatia. It's got to be Croatia. Anyway, now the talented squad that they do have, just listen to some of the names that played in their 3-0 win over Chile. Alisson, Wesley, Douglas Santos, Gabriel, Marquinhos, Casemiro, Bruno Guimarães, Rafinha, Estevão, João Pedro, and it goes on and on and on. if Ancelotti harnesses the talent of this team, if he sorts out and gets them to operate at the level they're capable of, to get rid of the dysfunction, to bring Vinicius Jr. back into the fold and get the best out of him again. He missed the last international window. Brazil will be a very scary team. I mean, there's when people who don't even watch the sport think of this sport, they think of Brazil, right? So they're a team that you have to be very, very nervous about. But I don't have them as a top contender. I have them on the sort of bottom-ish of the top 10. And in number six, here in number six place, I have here in sixth place, I should say, we have the Netherlands, who I thought could have had a great run at Euro 2024. They seem to be onto something before that big Turkey upset, goalkeeper making the most ridiculous saves I've ever seen in my life. Just unbelievable from Turkey. Clearances off the line, everything. In the most recent Nations League, they pushed Spain all the way, man. A 2-2 draw in the Netherlands, followed by a 3-3 draw in Spain. Spain eventually winning via a shootout, but to push Spain like that, damn. And now in the 2022 World Cup, they went out in the quarterfinals. I think you'll remember that match against Argentina, the shootout, how heated that all got. That's where we got the sort of the origin of that. Que miras, Bobo? What are you looking at from Lionel Messi? I can't remember. Was he saying that to Wout Weghorst? I can't remember who it was. But yeah, that's where that came from. So Netherlands almost beat the champions in 2022. So they are a team that it's a testament to how they've been improving year upon year. And am I the biggest Ronald Koeman fan, the coach of the Netherlands? No, but I gotta say he's doing a very solid job with them. They are dominating their qualification group, and just across the whole 11, they're extremely talented. Tijani Reinders and Frankie de Jong is probably one of the best midfield pairings you can find in the world. Both of them elite level midfielders. Memphis Depay reliance is a little bit worrying. He's 31 years old now, but the guy doesn't stop scoring. So am I to be worried? Who am I to be worried? He's doing fine. Daniel Malen shows up for them. Cody Gakpo really shows up in big tournaments. Big tournament Gakpo. You have Virgil van Dijk at the back, perhaps the best center back in the world, marshaling that defense. Mickey van de Ven, who's finally staying healthy at Tottenham, right next to him. Ryan Gravenberch, another one that you can throw in the midfield. So the Netherlands have a nasty team, and they need to be taken incredibly seriously. It's a team that I thought could have gone very far in Euro 2024. As I said, and depending how the draw goes, they're a team that I am going to be looking at in sort of the latter stages of this tournament in 2026. Now, England, getting into the top five here. In the five spot, we have England. Is it coming home? Is it finally coming home? As the song they sing in every tournament goes. Under Gareth Southgate, a guy who didn't really get the greatest of support from England fans. But under him, you can't really argue with the results. England making 2 Euro finals in a row, losing both, unfortunately, but making 2 in a row, making the semifinals of the 2018 World Cup. In 2022, they pushed hard against France, went out in the quarterfinals. So again, you can't argue with the resume that Gareth Southgate had, right? Now, however, they are under Thomas Tuchel, someone who knows how to set up teams to win tournaments. He came so close with PSG in 2020 up against that unbelievable Bayern Munich team. He won with Chelsea in 2021 against all odds, and not a lot of people expected that. So the guy has pedigree in winning big tournaments, club tournaments. But like we said, club tournaments are different from international football. Now, besides a friendly loss to Senegal, Tuchel's record has been spotless with England. He's won every single competitive match and hasn't conceded a single goal in them. Are they playing top opposition? No, of course not. I mean, it's qualifying. Nobody's playing the best of the best, right? But it's one thing to win and another to set up a clean sheet in every single game. Right now, England has a very, very, very talented generation, and fitting all of that talent is probably the most difficult part of Tuchel's job. One thing is certain, however, with Harry Kane in this kind of form that he is in, I mean, we've spoke about him here multiple times in the last couple of weeks, record-breaking goal-scoring form. I mean, with him, anything is possible right now. He wasn't anywhere near his best at Euro 2024, and England still managed to make the final. So if he stays fit, if Palmer gets fit, Rodgers continues on this trajectory he's on, then England will have a terrifying attack to go with their very solid defense and midfield. Now, number 4, we have Portugal. I see them playing some of their best football lately. Now, the thing with Portugal has always been, oh, they have a really strong group of players, but can they get the most out of those players? Under Fernando Santos, despite winning Euro 2016 in a not so inspiring fashion, kind of an ugly way, he really struggled to get the most out of Portugal. He really struggled to get them to play the kind of football that they're capable of, including at the World Cup. He did switch some things up at this past World Cup, 2022. He benched Ronaldo, he gave other players a chance, and they went out against Morocco, that Morocco team that made it all the way to the semifinals, that ended up finishing 4th in that tournament, eliminated another team that's still yet to be spoken about. Now, full transparency, my parents are Portuguese, so I follow them very closely, but I'm not a big Roberto Martinez fan, the coach of Portugal, though I have to say I cannot argue with how he has Portugal playing since Euro 2024, where they were not so great, in my opinion. In the Nations League, I mean, he won the Nations League, right? So Portugal beat Spain in the Nations League final, the defending Euro 2024 champion. So that is quite the statement, handing Spain their first competitive loss since Morocco at the 2022 World Cup. So once again, talent is not an issue for Portugal. I mean, they have some important components of this PSG side that is dominating in Europe, right? João Neves, Vitinha, Nuno Mendes, Gonçalo Ramos to a lesser degree. So you have guys that are Premier League stars at big teams in Italy, Spain, you name it. Then you have Cristiano Ronaldo. People are divided over how much he should actually play, but so long as he's available, he's going to start matches like it or not. So, I mean, his goal scoring record, it's there to see. It's great. Not in major tournaments, struggling in major tournaments, but still a strong scorer. So, Portugal have shown that they can beat anybody, and especially after beating Spain and with how good they've looked in qualifying so far, feeling more confident about Portugal than I have in the past. That is for sure. And I think that they can do a lot better than they did at Euro 2024. Now, in third, we have France. Look, third on the podium, already have a really, really good Kylian Mbappe at the previous World Cup. This dude scored a hat trick in the final. Imagine getting a hat trick in a final and losing that final. That's got to be tough. Anyway, Kylian Mbappe changed a lot in the last 4 years, and right now he's looking like the best or close to the best version of himself ever. He's scoring goals for fun with Real Madrid, penalty spot, open play, inside the box, outside the box, doesn't matter. As you can see, 2022 finish in the final. Oh, gotta hurt. Lots of goals to speak of for them. But it's not only Mbappe, it's Marcus Thuram as well playing out of his mind. It's Michael Olise, who is one of the best attackers in the world in this moment. A great midfield of Kone and Chouameni or Camavinga you could throw in there. Maignan is a great shot stopper. They have some good defenders as well. The only hangup I have with them is they seemingly get dragged down a little bit by Didier Deschamps, their coach. Granted, he won the World Cup in 2018, so hey, who am I to argue with him, right? He was close to winning it in 2022 as well, if not for an amazing Emi Martinez save. So again, who are we to judge? He clearly knows what's best, but France's tactics are sometimes so uninspired that it seems like they're playing within themselves at times, like they're capable of more. But as I said, with a guy like Kylian Mbappe, who is an early candidate for the Ballon d'Or next year, very early candidate, with a guy like that in your team, you always, always, always have a shot at winning. Give him the ball, let him create, let him execute. He'll do that. The only thing that holds me back a little bit is Didier Deschamps, and sometimes their back line with Upamecano freaks me out a little bit. I think that they have some mistakes in them, especially with Maignan has some mistakes in him as well. So that's what holds me back a little bit with them. But let's speak about the team that they actually lost to in the final of the 2022 World Cup. That is Argentina. Now, of course, you can't speak about the World Cup without speaking about the defending champions. Since then, they haven't taken their foot off the gas at all. They are far and away the best team in South America. They have a 9-point lead over Ecuador, second place Ecuador in World Cup qualifying currently. In 2024, they won another trophy, the Copa America, meaning they won a Copa America, then a World Cup, then another Copa America. So they mirrored what Spain did from 2008 to 2012. So Argentina has a chance, a very good chance, to do one better than them. Look, 2022, 15 goals, Their FIFA ranking is third, which is crazy to me. But hey, champions of the world. Now, there's a never-ending supply of top talents for Argentina. I mean, you have guys like Nico Paz and Franco Mastantuono coming through, starting to break through on top of ridiculous talents already, like Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez, Lionel Messi. Ever heard of him? Giuliano Simeone. Um, Thiago Almada, like all of these guys are just so good. And on top of it all, you have a coach in Lionel Scaloni who may not play the most beautiful football, right? But he won't necessarily be remembered for his football or anything like that. But it's so effective. They have strong center back pairing in Otamendi and Cristian Romero. I do worry about their fullbacks a little bit. Like I don't want to be seeing Nicolas Tagliafico out there in 2026 personally, but hey, overall, it's a team that can kill you in many different ways. There's a quote from Ivan Juric, the coach of Atalanta, recently when he was speaking about PSG, where he said that playing them is like choosing your style of execution. And Argentina, maybe not to that extent, but they can hurt you in many, many ways. Messi's still lethal at 39, 38, 30, 38, turning 39 next year. 8 goals and 3 assists in 12 matches in qualifying. So just unbelievable from them. But I do not have them as the number one team. Now, the number one team that I have as the top contenders for this upcoming World Cup. At number one, I have Spain. Now, what's impressive about Spain, amongst many other things, is that they actually have an identical style of play, which is not that common in international football. It's not exactly rare, but it's not very common. Now, this is due to having various youth teams playing in the same manner throughout the different levels of Spain. This is due to Spain in general, the country sort of having this fairly distinct outlook and idea of how they see this game and how it should be played. So that stretches across the country and is adopted by various clubs. In 2022, they were knocked out by Morocco. There was another victim from that unbelievable Moroccan run where they went all the way to the semifinals and then lost out to France. But what's changed with Spain is they're not really playing this tiki-taka style. They're sort of playing this still possession based, but a little bit more direct because they have guys like Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams on the flanks who can just blow by anybody in the attack. Now, a lot of them already played under head coach Luis de la Fuentes at a youth level at some point, and on top of that, there's just even more talent all over the park. I mean, in Spain, you have the best winger in the world, one of the best players in the world in Lamine Yamal. You have the best midfielder in the world in Pedri, the former best midfielder in the world before his ACL injury in Rodri. Many of the rest of the squad would sort of walk into any other national team in the world, right? But in Yamal, you have something very special. You have that X player, that X factor player now, right? He's becoming the kind of guy that can win you matches on his own through sheer force of will, through sheer talent. He can score himself, or he can hit him with that trademark outside of the boot pass to set up one of his teammates with deadly accuracy. So Spain have shown that they can be defeated. But even in losing to Portugal in the Nations League, they haven't lost in regulation time in a competitive match since the 2022 World Cup. They lost to Portugal in a shootout. So Spain, for me, are the team that I would feel the most comfortable picking as World Cup champions in this moment. They are the team to beat. Again, assuming they stay healthy, etc. But you can say that about every single team out there. Okay, so that is my list. I have Italy in 10, Germany in ninth, Croatia in 8th, Brazil 7, then Netherlands, England, Portugal, France, first on the podium, Argentina, and then Spain. That's it. That's it. So now you guys know, it is the international break coming up. So we're getting you in that international mood. And now you guys know officially who's going to win the World Cup. I just spoiled it for you. So there you go, guys. Anyways, I want to thank you as always for watching along and for dropping some comments in the chat. I do appreciate it. My name is Adrian, and enjoy the matches this weekend. Later.